really do. It's probably too aggressive for me. We're good?
Yep, we're good.
All right. We're going to call the Novi Board of Education regular meeting to order. Today is May 6th, and I want to welcome everybody. If we all can please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I can get a motion for approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support. Recommended by Mrs. Murphy and supported by Mrs. Roney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Next, we have an opportunity for awards recognition presentation. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. The first one is a recognition of staff appreciation. This is Staff Appreciation Week. And we, if you've noticed any of the district social media, we've had the Novi Education Foundation, the Suburban Collection, helping out celebrate all of our staff this week at various businesses around Novi, and we are very appreciative of that. But in 1944, political and educational leaders began the discussion for a day to honor teachers. In 1953, Eleanor Roosevelt was successful in her argument with Congress to proclaim a National Teachers' Day in March. And in 1985, the National PTA established the first week of May as Teacher Appreciation Week, with Tuesday being National Teacher Day. The Novi Community School District, knowing that all staff contribute to the success of all students, is recognizing, celebrating, and honoring our dedicated staff during the first week of May for all that they do every day to support our students, their families, and each other. Especially these past 13 months in unprecedented times, they have played a critical role in educating and shaping our students, guiding them through the challenges in a positive direction. Tonight, we honor our staff, but the honor is ours because we have the privilege to have staff who are exceptional. We would like to take this opportunity to express our deep appreciation and acknowledge their work and dedication as a Novi Community School District staff who continue to share the vision and support the voice about the future of Novi's children. A good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. So tonight we would like to honor all of our staff this first week of May for all that they do for all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. And as you pointed out, this last 13 months have been unprecedented times, but I think we've always known that our Novi staff are really exceptional and super special. So it's been fun to watch them be honored on Twitter, just different awards that have been received and different things that have happened. So is there any other comments from any board members?
Sure.
Okay.
I just wanted to acknowledge the Suburban Collection for their continued and unwavering support for many folks I don't think realize that every year for a number of years, the Novi Educational Foundation, because of the support and relationship with Suburban Collection, has granted one of the Teachers of the Year with a lease for a vehicle. To be candid with everyone, it's been a difficult decision every year because one teacher gets a car and the other two get a bouquet of flowers. So this year, with the circumstances being as they are, we coordinated with the Suburban Collection, which is some of the work I was doing when I missed our last committee meeting. But I was able to get them to agree to make a monetary contribution for this year. And in lieu of presenting one teacher with a car, we were actually able all week long to celebrate every single teacher in the district. So today, for example, everyone got a free coffee or a drink of their choice from Novi Coffee and Tea, which is my business. So, there was bundt cakes, bundt-teenies, and cookies from Maria's, and it's just been, I think, very well received. And we thought it would be appropriate on the NEF to honor all of the teachers and all of the staff, not just one teacher in particular. So I just wanted to thank the Suburban Collection.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And it's really great, I think, that it's evolved into staff appreciation because obviously we know it takes a village and it's not just teachers in the classroom, but everybody within our district. So that's great. Alrighty, next we will move on to the award recognition. We have an opportunity for school board member recognition. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. The Novi Community School District was notified by the Michigan Association of School Boards that 3 of our board members were recognized at the April 29, 2021 Oakland County School Board Association and MASB Awards Ceremony. Don Watruba, Executive Director for MASB, recognized Mrs. Bobby Murphy, Mr. Willie Mena, and Mrs. Kathy Hood. Mrs. Bobby Murphy received the Master Board Member Award. Mr. Willie Mena received the Level 1 certification and the Award of Merit. And Mrs. Kathy Hood received the Award of Merit. Tonight, we would like to take the opportunity to express our deep appreciation and acknowledge their work and dedication as a board member. And we continue to share their vision and voice about the future of Novi's children in their roles as board members, community members, and dedicated volunteers. So thank you very much to the 3 of you.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews, and thank you to all of you. I know usually in normal years, we would potentially all be together at that award ceremony and honor you, but I think that, you know, the time and the effort that you all put in to receive the certifications and to take the extra classwork is notable and honorable, and we do appreciate all you do for our community. So thank you. Okay. Yes,
I just
Mrs.
have
Rowley.
one question.
Yes.
Master Board Member Award, what is that, Bobby?
I don't know exactly. I know it means that I've completed all the level 1 and enough of level 2 and 3, I think. And then also served on committee, I served on the MASB, one of the MASB committees, serving actually as a officer on the board. You get different points, so I think you just move up the levels.
Okay,
I
awesome.
think when you've been on the board as long as I have, it's kind of,
It's the amount of years. Let's go with that.
I was kind of wondering that if it was like, you know,
Long time.
longest board member ever, you know.
How many years has it been so far?
13.
Ooh, really? Really?
Alrighty, well, thank you all, and we appreciate you and recognize you. Okay, we will move on to our first opportunity for comments from the audience related to agenda items. This opportunity is for anyone in the community to address the board. If they have any comments related to our agenda, if you do, you can step up to the podium, state your name, and fill out a green card when you're completed. Does anybody have any comments for us this evening? We do have a few audience members. Okay, great. Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda items. We only have one item on here. It is approval of minutes. And if I can get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Mena and supported by Mr. Cook. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to our action items. We have 3 action items this evening. First is the personnel report. We will start with that, Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. And for the first personnel report, I will turn to Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. This evening, we have 3 new hires. They are Levi Nelson, who is a district-wide adaptive physical education teacher, Eric Heddle, who is Assistant Director of Maintenance and Operations, and Jason Greaves, a semi-skilled maintenance worker. We also have 1 administrative transfer. That is Adva Ringel. She is currently the Supervisor of English Language Development, and she will be transferred to the Orchard Hills Principal.
Thank you, Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you.
If we could get a motion to accept the personnel report. Mrs. Hood?
I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education adopts the personnel report recommendations as presented. Support.
Recommended by Mrs. Hood and supported by Mrs. Murphy. Any questions or comments? Mrs. Murphy?
I just have one quick one. Eric Hattel. Has he been in the district
Yes, he has.
for a
He
while?
worked in technology for many years.
Okay.
I was gonna ask the same thing. I was gonna say, maybe I'm just thinking right. So that's somebody who's been around the district. before.
Correct. He left the district, I think, in 2016, and now he's returning.
Nice.
So you've been on the board a long time.
Technically, the district left him, but
Oh, right.
because we went to Oakland Schools Technology.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
that's right, yeah. I
Okay,
remember.
great. Thank you. I thought that name looked very familiar. Okay, great.
Well,
My other question.
Great.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, I think it's nice to see that Mr. Dragoo has gotten some
Yes.
staff back in place. I'm sure he's very appreciative of that, and
He is.
Congratulations to Ms. Ringel for being transferred, and I'm sure she'll be an excellent addition over there at Orchard Hills. So if we're ready for a vote, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We will now move, we have one more personnel report, B.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. This winter, Brian Gordon informed us of his intention to retire. This set into motion a series of events that culminates tonight with the recommendation for a new athletic director. The Human Resources Office posted the position. There were 117 applications. The applications were screened to identify those that met the job posting requirements. We then screened 40 with the online HumanX screener. Dr. Kinzer then reviewed the online screener results and identified 14 to participate in a phone interview. The phone interview is also a HumanX tool and focuses on strengths and talents. The phone screener narrowed down the field to 6 who were invited to participate in a panel interview. The panel consisted of administrators and coaches and also parents. I forgot to add parents. Students also toured the candidates and provided feedback. The panel identified 3 candidates to move to an interview with the superintendent. One candidate subsequently dropped out because he received an improved offer from his current employer. In the end, the 2 candidates were interviewed by the superintendent. Several references were checked on the recommended candidate, including his current superintendent, his current principal, coaches in his program, his administrative assistant, and the director of the MHSAA. I am tonight recommending Don Wachowski to be the next athletic director for the Novi Community School District. Mr. Wachowski is currently the athletic director, assistant principal at Royal Oak High School in the Royal Oak School District. He has served in this capacity for 5 years. Previously, he has served in the same role for 5 years in the Brandon School District and 1 year in the Richmond School District. He has also been a successful teacher and coach. He coached baseball in Birmingham and Royal Oak. He is a certified athletic administrator, a member of the Michigan Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, and a presenter at MIAAA conferences. He is an innovative athletic director. He supports unified sports. He founded both a student-athlete leadership team and a coaches leadership team at Royal Oak. He also supports the Michigan High School Athletic Association. So tonight, the recommendation is that we approve Don Wachowski as the Novi Community School District Athletic Director.
Thank you. Mr. Mena?
Can I do the honors?
You sure can.
All right, I move that the Board of Education approve Don Wachowski as the Novi Community Schools District Athletic Director.
Support.
Recommended by Mr. Mena and supported by Mrs. Roney. Any questions or comments? Mrs. Hood, please.
I would say, I Googled Mr. Wachowski last night, and he has a significant web presence, and it was all glowing. And so I'm delighted that he made it to the top or the bottom of our screening, whichever direction we're looking, and he is ready to come here. I also think, which I'll confirm with him if I ever meet him, that he is a graduate of Utica Eisenhower High School, and that is my alma mater.
I
So-
think you were right.
I will,
Oh, then we cannot have him.
anyway, so nothing but really positive things.
That's
So
good.
it sounds like you made a good choice.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Hood. Any other comments or questions?
I
Well-
just
Go
want to
ahead.
know, does he like cheer?
He is,
Competitive cheer?
yes, he does. He is very much in tune with boys, with both girls and boys athletics, and we believe that he'll be a great addition.
Yeah, because I went down his little resume and I saw nothing about cheerleading.
Well, we'll make sure that he identifies all the times he has supported cheer.
Okay.
Mr.
And he
Mena?
did go to MSU, so.
Yes, he did.
Do you have a comment, Mr.
No,
Mena?
I just want to thank Dr. Kinzer and your team for the extended work that you did here. As you know, I always like giving you a hard time about a few hires, and we say that normally that, outside of the superintendent hire, the band director, the athletic director, and principals are probably the most important, hires. I think those are the most emotional hires that we generally have in the district. So I look forward to meeting our new athletic director, and I feel very comfortable with the process that we used. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mena. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We will all greatly and graciously welcome Mr. Don, I'm gonna call him.
We will bring him to the district. He's asking for a few days to kind of make sure all of his coaches in Royal Oak know what's going on. And so a real public formal announcement will come sometime next week. But he is coming into the district tomorrow to finish paperwork and to get some Novi swag so that he has the right colors to wear. And so hiring him now will allow us some time to have him do some transition work with Mr. Gordon. So we think that will be good as well.
Great,
Yep.
thank you. Next, we'll move on to our last action item for this evening, which is our extended COVID-19 learning plan. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. As the board knows, the state legislature requires the board to act every month to pass an extended COVID-19 learning plan. The COVID cases in the state and in Oakland County are decreasing rapidly and moving in a positive direction since our last board meeting. And as you can see, the counts by day back just a couple of weeks ago or month, 3 weeks ago were significantly higher than they were at the end of April. On April 29th, Governor Whitmer announced her 4 steps to Michigan back to normal, plan to get Michigan back to some type of normalcy. The majority of districts in Oakland County are moving forward with their current plans. In our district, we have adopted on February 4th, 2021, a model that relies on 3 key metrics: case counts per 10,000 residents in the Novi Community School District, case count average of the 3 Novi zip codes, and case counts in Oakland County. Tracking these 3 metrics has allowed our Novi Community School District Board of Education to continue to approve our 5-day per week in-person instruction. The Board of Education also approved a recommendation that would cause us to reconsider the 5-day week in-person model if the metrics trended in the wrong direction and met or exceeded higher thresholds for 3 consecutive weeks. Based on our metrics, we returned to K-6 hybrid students to 5-day per week in-person instruction on February 22nd, and our 7-12 hybrid students to 5-day per week in-person instruction on March 1st. The Board of Education and the administration made a commitment to re-examine our approach when the COVID numbers began to trend in the wrong direction and met higher threshold for 3 weeks in a row. It is clear that our district trends are declining while other districts have reported higher numbers. I would attribute our success to our student and staff compliance with the mitigation strategies: mask, hand washing, sanitizing desks, increased ventilation, increased attention to hard surface cleaning. We continue to test our student athletes this spring. There are over 600 student athletes this spring between the high school and middle school, and we've administered over 1,500 rapid COVID tests, and we've had just a handful of positive results. With only 6 weeks left in our school year, my recommendation is as follows: that we approve remaining in our current format for all students, grades K to 12, providing in-person 5 days per week instruction for the hybrid students and virtual instruction for those who selected the virtual modality.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. If I can get a recommendation? Mrs. Murphy?
I don't think I need to repeat the recommendation, but I could say I would like to make a motion that we approve the recommendation as presented.
Perfect. Do we have support? Mrs. Hood?
I support.
Recommended by Mrs. Murphy and supported by Mrs. Hood. So do we have any questions or comments?
I just want to say after the last vote, I'm so glad those numbers started trending down because, right? I mean, it was a bit of a, I don't want to say a crapshoot, but,
It was.
you know, it was not.
They were trending in the wrong direction through April, and the board took a calculated risk, and it worked out in our favor. And I'm happy because the consistency and the continuity that we were able to provide our students has been very welcome by them all. As I walk through the high school this week, for example, we have AP testing going on. As I walk through the K-8 buildings in the last couple of weeks, we had M-STEP testing going on. And so all of that is possible because we were able to keep our kids in school. The one thing that the board is aware of, I'm sure, is that we had our virtual students come because the state required testing. We offered the opportunity for our virtual students to test, and they came into the school, and they were so excited to be in school. It was wonderful to see, and our hope is, as we head towards the fall, that we'll be able to provide that in-person option for all of our students who want it, and we'll talk a little bit more about the virtual option later in the meeting. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to, and then I'll let you go, Mr. Mena. I would like to just reiterate what you said. You know, no one has a crystal ball, and all along, we kind of, if we did, life would be even more grand. But I think that, you know, we as a board worked really diligently to look through all the ins and outs and the fine details. And, you know, I really want to acknowledge the teachers that were concerned and shared their concerns, and really to just have trust in the administrative team and the board, and that the decision was made and everybody just got after it. And, you know, COVID cooperated, and as Dr. Matthews said, our kids have really benefited greatly over the last 3 weeks. So it's great to say, without a crystal ball, I think we made such a really good decision. So, Mr. Mena?
No, you covered exactly what I was gonna say, but more eloquently than I could, so thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments, Mr. Cook?
Well, just for the public out there, yeah, we picked those three numbers, but we also, when we did this, took into consideration the last time to continue this new modality. We're also looking at cases within the district and within the buildings, and that has always been very low. And, you know, that's just transparency for the public. It's not just those three numbers we're looking at anymore. We've added that fourth, so. What the threshold is on that, I don't know, but, but we do keep an eye on that, so.
Thank you, Mr. Cook, for pointing that out. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I think that we'll be ready for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We will next move on to information and discussion. We have 4 items. We'll start with our soccer pavilion fiber cable. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. IDS worked with the district technology staff and Oakland schools to determine if it would be beneficial to do work under the existing maintenance pricing for Amcon Telecommunications, or to bid work through the E-rate bid process. The quote from Amcon through the existing maintenance pricing is $10,365. The bid that was received from FiberLink through the E-rate bid process is $18,369. The district subsequently determined that due to conduit being run from the press box to the new scoreboard location, it would be possible to run the data fiber for the pavilion from the press box as well. The revised quote from Amcon for running fiber from the press box is $4,797. Please note, this does not include the cost of the conduit, nor the cost of the fiber to the scoreboard, both of which are provided for under a separate project. IDS recommends the district approve the project award to Amcon for $4,797. IDS also recommends the district managed contingency of $500. And this project is funded from the 2019 bond. So we bring this to the board tonight because we want the board to know about the project. We also would take direction from the board as to whether or not you want this to come back for approval. Technically, it's under the bid threshold, and so we wouldn't have to have the board approve it. We could move forward with the project, but if the board wants to approve it, we could bring it back at our May 20th meeting. We have Maz here and Mr. Lacricchio as well, who can speak to the project and speak to why we kind of separated this out from the original discussion that we had in April about this project. But we come tonight with this revised recommendation, and we'll take direction from the board if you want us to bring it back for approval, or if we move forward with it because it's under the threshold.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Matthews. So I think we'll start with first, if anybody has any questions, and then if anyone feels strongly about wanting to vote or let it go, then we can have a conversation about that as well. So does anyone have any specific questions to the project itself? Mr. Mena?
I was just, it's not a huge deal, but if you can let me know. I read this 3 times and I lost something here in translation. So we got fiber running from one location to the press box, and from the press box to the new pavilion, which is gonna have some sort of a scoreboard, right?
Correct. So in the original, when we started this project, we're rerouting the fiber for the Meadows construction. And originally we were coming into the team room that's being built on the soccer field. We were coming in from a different location because the scoreboard, there was original talks for whether it was going to be just a regular scoreboard or a video scoreboard. With it being a regular scoreboard, you can use a wireless controller, if it goes to a video scoreboard, you need to have fiber run between the press box and the scoreboard. So because we have that budgeted through the construction side of the project, we can change our route and redo fiber coming off of the press box now, going out to the scoreboard and out to the team room. So it changes the cost and work. Most of our original scope of work was underground work, where they'd be doing directional boring. Now, because you need conduit out to the scoreboard from the press box, we'll piggyback that project through the construction side. So it changes our scope of work a little bit different.
Well, I like that idea. Being someone who spends tons of times in press boxes around different high schools in the area, I've seen so many failures on wireless connectivity from the press box to the scoreboard, so to have the direct wired would be great anyway.
Yeah. So just a scope change a little bit, so it shifts some of our work over to the construction side project. And it's already in their scope of work.
Yeah. So, and as far as your second question, whether or not this has to come to the board, if this is something that's below the threshold that we agreed upon, I'm personally okay if we just go ahead and move forward.
You feel comfortable with that, Mr. McIntyre?
Sounds good.
No, it's good.
Any other questions? Yeah, I think that that's a great explanation, and as Willie, that Mr. Mena mentioned, I'm sure he would love to have some video options if the capabilities are available during the construction, right? So, but we appreciate your transparency in bringing this forward so the board can kind of see how the project broke up, and I think if no one has any other questions or concerns, then we'll just kind of, it falls within that threshold.
Thank you very
So,
much. Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks, Miles.
Okay.
Mr. Lucrecio.
Because I don't speak for the whole board here, I just say that's my
I think
my
that they'll
opinion.
step up if they have.
I think that you would be the only one that I would think that might have a problem with it, so the fact that you don't, I think we're all good, right?
I think we're great. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes
Your
sense, being consistent with if it's underneath that amount. But I do appreciate that they saved us a few dollars there.
Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, we will move on. Thank you guys for being here and for explaining that, because as Mr. Wenda said, I probably wouldn't have gotten all that just from this. That's not my expertise. We're going to move on to the building naming, Walsh College property. This is exciting. Dr.
This
Matthews.
is exciting.
Thank you, Dr. Eskin. With the purchase of the former Walsh College property at 441-500 Garden Brook Road, the district needed to rename the building. Our board policy 6011 identifies how school district buildings and facilities are named. It states, responsibility for suggesting building and facility names to the board will reside in a joint committee of the board, the professional staff, and citizens. Board representatives and citizens will be appointed by the president of the board. Staff representatives will be designated by the superintendent. The joint committee will develop and recommend suitable names to the board. Building and facilities shall not be named after a person. A committee was developed and comprised of 3 board members, the superintendent, and 2 community members. Several potential names were considered for the building. In a letter to district parents, ideas were solicited for the building. The committee considered these suggestions along with additional suggestions created by the committee. Tonight, this committee would like to recommend to the board that the property at 41,500 Garden Brook Road be named the ROAR Center. ROAR is an acronym for Robotics, Online, and Adult Readiness. This name connects the purpose of the building with the Wildcat mascot of the district. This is presented for information and discussion this evening and will return to the board for action on May 20th.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. First, I want to thank Mr. Cook for leading this group and putting the right people in place to have these conversations. I wasn't in the room, so I'm not sure how it went, but I would say this is a bit brilliant. This would not have even been on my radar. I think it's pretty cool, but we'll let other board members make comments, and if you want to start us off, that would be great.
Well, the name, actually, having community members and staff, Mike Dragoo also was on
Oh, that's
on there
right.
for a bit,
Yep.
and a couple community members, so having the mix of community, staff, and board really helped. We got a lot of good ideas. Polling the community, we get a few other ones, some that, we really,
Don't say it.
what?
Don't say it.
No, maybe I will.
Some took extended explanation.
Yes, they did, because one was actually naming after an educator who turned actress, most famously known for The Wicked Witch of the West. So I'm not sure if there was a double intent there, but no, the Roar Center, there's a couple of criteria we gave them because a lot of our buildings are named after or named as park-type settings and outdoorsy type settings. And the other thing is we've started naming things after the purpose and the intent of what's the building. And this came about because of the intent, the plan for that building. And I think it fits very appropriately, and this one needed to be done. We're not done because we do have another building to name yet, but this one needed to be done for, business reasons, so. We can't, this was suggested by one of the committee members and very appropriately.
Thank you. Any other comments? I know that Mr. Mena sat on this committee, as did Mrs. Hood, and like I said, I think it's great. I love, especially if I had to pick one of the three parts that I love, not to be biased, but I love the adult readiness word. I think that that's really great, so.
Could we give credit to the community member who's, because I think he came in and worked hard, and
You did.
I remember he came in, gave a couple,
That
not
were
so
iffy.
great, and then all of a sudden, bam, he dropped the hammer with this one, and it was like, whoa, he saved the best for last.
Yeah, Willie almost threw him off the board with those,
But
off
then
the committee.
So I just want to thank, I want to take this time to recognize and thank Mr. Chris Harpino. He was the one that came up with this great idea, and I just couldn't think of anything better than this. It's perfect.
Thank you.
So thank you,
That's great.
Chris, if you're out there.
Wonderful. Any other comments?
Great
I,
night.
I just see off of the, the back end of the building, by the freeway, I see that little MGM lion, that was not a wildcat, doing its little roar,
you
next to the Roar Center.
Video board up there.
That's right. We have to get a video.
For the marquee.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna need a video board for that one. Very cool.
Okay, so this will come back
Come back
to
on the 20th
okay.
for a formal approval.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much. Alrighty, next we have the Oakland Schools 2021-2022, can't believe that already, budget resolution. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. Per the Michigan Revised School Code, the Oakland Schools' annual budget must be presented to Oakland County's 28 school districts by May 1st of each year. Oakland Schools distributed 3 sets of the fiscal year 2021-22 proposed budget documents, a set for the superintendent, business manager, and board treasurer, Kathy Hood. Per section 624, 2B, the following actions are required by the district for compliance. Review the intermediate school district general education fund operating budget. Not later than June 1st, adopt a board resolution expressing support for or disapproval of the proposed budget. Submit to the ISD's Board of Education any specific objections and proposed changes to said budget. Per section 624, only the general operating fund budget requires a board resolution. However, the ISD has provided all of their draft budgets: special education, career-focused education, special revenue cooperative activities, debt service, capital projects, enterprise and internal service, and grant funds budget. While not a statutory requirement, the Oakland Schools Board of Education held a remote designates meeting on Tuesday, April 27th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Providing local board designates and district administrative staff an opportunity to hear a presentation on the budget and ask questions prior to finalizing a board resolution on or before June 1st. So there are 2 resolutions, one supporting the ISD budget and one disapproving it. They're presented to the board tonight for information and discussion, with adoption of one of them at the May 20th, 2021 regular meeting, which we would then forward to Oakland Schools to let them know that we have voted on this as required by law. Mrs. Hood and Mr. McIntyre could provide you with insight into the budget. I have not read every page of the budget, but I'm sure that both of them have. And so if you do have questions about this Oakland Schools budget, Mrs. Hood or Mr. McIntyre would be the appropriate ones to direct those questions to.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. So I think we'll just open that up to both of you and kind of get your feedback. Do you have any concerns or questions or comments or either one?
Yeah, I'll go first. Well, maybe Mr. McIntyre, I'll go first.
Okay.
And I would say I sat on the April 27th review where all the important people at the Oakland schools went through the budget. They anticipate some growth, about 2.7%, because their budget is driven by property taxes, so they're expecting some growth. It's pretty standard, and the question, I think, is do we think they're spending the money in the right places? Dr. Matthews confirms that Novi Schools gets value from Oakland schools. Have they set the right priorities? I would say yes. Is their budget boring? I would say yes. I think boring budgets are pretty good. And they're continuing to do and bring value to us. So I would support that we would support this.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McIntyre,
Thank you. If I may, I would just like to get the board's perspective. So
please.
their budget is supposed to land around 18%, the fund balance is supposed to land around 18%. So if you look at Washington ISD, they'll be around 12%. Macomb ISD around 9%, and Livingston would be around about 10%. So, but in addition to looking at what the fund balance would be, when you're looking at the budget for Oakland ISD, I would also encourage us to look at the balance sheet items as well.
Okay, thank you.
And one more thing, I'm
Yes,
sorry,
please.
Dr. Russell. I have my hard copy with me, or the one that was given to me, and I will leave it with Sheila tonight, and anyone who wants to review it I think we'll have 2 copies here in the ESB then.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds great, thank you. Does anyone have any specific questions with the information that we have in front of us? No? Mrs. Roney?
The only
Please.
thing, I was very happy to see that they're increasing their STEM spending. So that's a very good thing, at least I feel so.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions in regards to this? I mean, certainly we have an opportunity because we don't have a meeting for 2 weeks. So if something comes up that you have a question about, you can certainly send it through the superintendent's office out to the group so that we can think about it and make sure that you have those answers or that information prior to the vote on May 20th. Okay, thank you. Alrighty, we will move on to the final information and discussion piece, which is the superintendent's contract. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. The current contract between the Novi Community School District Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Steve Matthews was extended in June 2019 for 3 years, commencing on July 1st, 2019 through and including June 30th of 2022. The 2020-2021 school year was the second year of the contract, and the superintendent is requesting the following consideration in the contract. The contract was reviewed and revised by the Superintendent Contract Committee, and the following revisions are recommended. Compensation. There are 2 sections of the current contract that address compensation, and they provide conflicting direction to the board. Section 2, paragraph 2, salary states, the Board of Education hereby retains the right to adjust the annual salary of the superintendent effective July 1st, 2020, and effective each July 1st thereafter. Section 14, evaluation, states, at least annually, but no later than the last day of December each year during the term of this contract, upon completion of the formal evaluation, the board shall consider any salary adjustment. There are 3 issues to consider that I brought to the committee. All staff receive compensation increases in July at the end of the current school year and before the new school year begins. Salary decisions for 2021-22 and beyond cannot be made yet because the state budget is unknown. Retirement is based on average yearly compensation calculated on the school year calendar. And so the recommendations that are made in this area are 1, change in paragraph 2 salary. The superintendent's salary for fiscal year 2021-22 shall be determined during the 21-22 budget discussions along with other administrative contract salary revisions. The Board of Education hereby retains the right to adjust the annual salary of the superintendent effective July 1st, 2021 and effective each July 1st thereafter. Compensation increases would be based on the school year calendar and take effect on July 1. And then the revision to paragraph 14, you would strike the language on salary adjustment to make it consistent with paragraph 2. And then 3, you would add language connecting salary increase to evaluation. When considering a salary adjustment, the Board of Education will take into consideration the previous superintendent evaluation. On the most current evaluation, the superintendent must have earned an effective or highly effective evaluation to receive an increase in compensation. Under annual terms, it states the superintendent has difficulty, or the background is, the superintendent has difficulty taking all of the allotted vacation days. The superintendent does not get paid for unused vacation days either yearly or at the end of the contract. Vacation has been especially problematic in this pandemic year. So the request is a contract language change. The current language says the superintendent may roll up to 10 days of unused vacation days each year on the contract, not subject to accrual. And the recommendation is superintendent may roll over up to 20 days of unused vacation days each year of the contract, not subject to accrual. The superintendent, as mentioned, does not get paid for unused vacation days either annually or at the end of the contract. And then 3, contract extension. The current contract is a 3-year contract approved in 2019. The superintendent requested that the contract be extended during discussions with the contract committee. State law allows the superintendent contract to be 5 years in length, and the following request was made by the superintendent and discussed in the contract committee. So the term of the contract would be July 1st, 2021 through June 30th of 2026, a 5-year contract. And as stated, state law allows up to a 5-year contract. I made those changes in the contract that the board is attached, and this comes to the board for information and discussion at this first meeting in May, and the revised contract would be effective July 1st, 2021, up to and including July 30th, 2026. And if the board desires, this could come back to the board on May 20th for approval.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. And that being said, I'm sure it's very unusual and weird and to talk in third person, so we'll just take that right off the table. I think that certainly there's an opportunity to have a conversation here, but I don't want to put anyone on the spot, nor do I want to put Dr. Matthews kind of in that position. So if you have something of concern that you're uncomfortable talking about, certainly you can send me an email, and I will forward it back and circle back around with to the committee. So I know that the committee did their due diligence, and my guess is that this has probably been vetted by legal, but I mean, if you have any other comments that you're comfortable stating at the table, I don't want to mute anyone. I just wanted to let everybody know that they have that opportunity, so. Mrs. Murphy?
I just want to say that the last contract that had the errors in it was also vetted by legal, so, Anyways, I do not know that this has gone to them, Dr. Matthews.
It is not.
Okay, so that might be.
I didn't know if these changes seem minor
Yeah,
enough
they do.
to not have to be vetted through legal. But if the board would like that, we could certainly send it to them.
I think just to have them take a quick peek
Okay.
so that everybody, that it's comfortable for
Okay.
you and for the district.
Okay.
It's the appropriate way to handle it.
Can do that, I'm sure, before the next meeting.
Yeah. Any other, Mrs. Hood?
I just had a question, because it's not listed on the committee reports. Who on the board is on the committee?
Oh, now you're gonna really put me on the spot. Mrs. Murphy, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Mena.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Couldn't remember all these committee appointments, so I
I've got a
appreciate
lot
that.
right now.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And
It's a pleasure to serve in this district.
we appreciate you. Okay, moving on, we will move on to, it looks like we have committee reports. Committees have been busy. We have 3 committee reports. We will start with Mr. Cook, who is our Chair for Governance and Policy Committee. Mr. Cook.
Being three weeks ago now?
I think so,
That
yeah.
was quite a while ago. I was looking for my notes earlier, but there were 2 I thought I did this at the last
I
meeting,
feel like you did maybe 2.
but
You can
We-
do it again. If you can remember.
we talked about 3004 and 3005 policies, and the administration was gonna move some language from the administrative guidelines over into those policies to clarify them a little bit more. And then those were the main things, and then we do have a whole slew of other things that we talked about as far as for the next meeting, and I had some additions from the work sessions we had, so. But we need to schedule another meeting soon to at least wrap those two policy revisions up and get them back to the board.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for your work on that. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, like, oh, did we already do this? I think what happened was we talked about it at our work session, but we haven't officially had a committee report at a board meeting. But maybe we made you go 3 times. I'm not really sure. If so, I
Yeah,
apologize.
you did, because the
Now you
meeting,
know the material inside and out, since you reported on it 3 times.
yeah, that meeting was just right before the last official
Okay.
board meeting.
Just keeping me on my toes. Okay, thank you. Committee reports, the next one is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We had our first meeting after the last regular board meeting, but prior to the work session. And we spent the time talking about the goals and the mission statements. We looked at some Oakland County School Board DEI mission statements and goals. We discussed different groups that are working throughout the district on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we have some work to do, and we'll be bringing at the next committee some more conversation about what the mission and the vision of that committee is. So that's what we did. Next, we had the building report, and it does not look, I mean, you gave a thorough report earlier and information and discussion. Unless you have anything further to add, then,
No, I don't, I was gonna rely on that.
okay, that sounds great. So we'll mark that off. So we'll move on. We have our second opportunity for comments from the audience. This could be anything that falls in the purview of the Board of Education. Again, if you have a comment, please come up to the podium, fill out a green card when you're done. We do have an audience, which feels nice to be in person, but everybody's pretty quiet tonight, so looks like we will move on. So we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. First, I'd like to mention to the board, there's only one camera angle tonight because we actually have an event at the high school that required Mr. Lalonde's presence, and so he set up the camera here and then went back to the high school to help with the dance team doing some things at the high school. Second, the policy committee may be receiving a request from some students at the high school. Sky came at our last meeting, and he talked about the board member or a student representative to the board, and I met with them. I met with 3 students yesterday to listen to them about what their idea was, and I suggested to them that it might be good to have a discussion with the policy committee, and so I think that they may follow up on that potentially. And so I told them to check with Ms. Holly to see when the next meeting was, and they may want to get on that agenda. And then my third comment is yesterday we sent out a survey to our community about the virtual school for this fall. The intent was that anybody who wanted to participate in the virtual school would complete the survey. Anybody else, the default is that everybody else will be in person this fall. And so we will reinforce that survey tomorrow when I send out my regular Friday communication to the community again. And the intent is you only complete the survey if you're interested in the virtual. We are so far up to just over 100 students who have expressed interest, and so we asked them to consider the options, receive several questions about, what it means, and the answer is that we're building it, and so we don't have all the final answers, but we do believe that it will be a robust Novi curriculum taught by Novi teachers with a Novi administrator kind of supervising the project. And we said till the 14th to complete the survey of May. And some parents have asked, couldn't it be later in the summer? We want to make sure that COVID doesn't come back. And what I'm saying to those parents is that we need to begin planning. And so we need to do our staffing. We need to get things in place. if COVID were to return, we obviously would have the flexibility to change significantly, just like we did last summer. We did not approve our return to school plan last year until August. And so, you know, if things deteriorate over the summer, I would anticipate that we could do the same kind of thing this summer. The hope is that they do not, and that the in-person option will be the option that the majority of students in our community take advantage of. But we also know, for a variety of reasons, that there's a group of students and families that would like a virtual option, and so we're making that available to our community. It will just be for Novi Community School District families. It's not a school that's open to those outside of our community. But we do believe, you know, we have some families who may have a health compromised parent or child who want to participate. We have some families who, you know, they're exceptional in ice skating or hockey or other activities, and they travel a lot, and so this would be a good option for them. And then we just have some students who, coming to, for example, a 2,000 student high school is an anxiety producing event. And they could get the same high quality education at home, working virtually with Novi teachers supporting them. And so we think that's a good option for those students. And so there's a variety of students that we believe will want to take advantage of this. And so we're trying to identify those students, and then we'll do our staffing. And then we will communicate clearly to all those families and roll this out as throughout the summer so that they'll be ready to go when school starts in the fall. And so the survey will, if you haven't filled it out yet, the survey is coming to you tomorrow, and will come at you a couple of times next week so that we get as many respondents as we can, so that we can plan effectively for the fall. And that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews, and thanks for that detailed report on that opportunity. I'm sure that there's people in the community who have further questions, so very much appreciated. We'll move on to the administrative reports. We'll start with Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you very much. Just to let you update the board, the House and Senate Finance Committees, they're making changes to the state aid budget as we speak even now, but nothing new report on that front. And just a reminder again that the Consensus Revenue Estimating Conference is May 21st for those of you who want to log on and get a glimpse of what's going to happen with both of them.
Thank you. Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. As it is Staff Appreciation Week, I think it only appropriate that I appreciate our staff. Our teachers, our administrators, our secretaries, custodians, bus drivers, all the people that make this school district a special place. Just a sincere, genuine thank you for me. I really appreciate all that they do every day for our students. Also, a thank you to the Suburban Collection for their efforts in promoting Staff Appreciation Week. I have to admit, I fully enjoyed cookies, whatever buntini, coffee, a muffin. The list goes on. So, but thank you to all the businesses for participating as well.
And tomorrow, Dr. Kinzer,
cream.
we will enjoy what?
Ice cream.
Go to Guernsey's.
So,
50 degrees.
also congratulations to Mrs. Murphy, to Mr. Mena, and to Mrs. Hood for your accomplishments. Congratulations on that well-earned honor. Also, our final Mentee Monday was a week ago Monday, the 26th of April. So we've completed our PD series for our first-year teachers in the district. Very successful, all virtual this year. And I do think we will include some virtual professional development for our teachers moving forward, probably a blend of in-person and virtual moving on. So that was also a great success. That will conclude my report.
Thank you, Dr. Kinzer, and thank you for the acknowledgement of staff appreciation. I think all of those first-year teachers deserve an award. Being in a pandemic in their first year, they're good to go for the rest of their career.
We did share with them that they will never have a more challenging year. They're off to a great start.
No promises, but we're pretty sure. Thank you. Dr. Weber.
Yes, you can't see me on TV, but that's okay. Pretty good
The
at
voice from above.
pretty good about the behind the scenes work. So I think the This pandemic has really brought about some really good things, and I think the NEF and Suburban Collection, what I've seen is an inclusivity amongst the staff this week in the appreciation event. And I just think that, well, the pandemic can push us into areas that maybe we haven't been, and that's not all bad. And perhaps that's something that the NEF will consider going forward, because the joy throughout the district is really, really neat. There's the big bang of the car, I get it, but to see every teacher posting and so many teachers posting on there is just, it's a good feeling. And then a couple other good bits today, speaking of staff, Emily Polanski has recently named one of the state finalists for the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. Pretty extraordinary. Emily and I have been working on a pilot grant application for MySTEM to create a playbook. And today we both received the email that we made it through the first round, which means that the Novi Community School District is now in the running for a $10,000 grant to tell our STEM story. It has been acknowledged as one of the better ones in the state of Michigan. And now we both get to pitch. Let me read this to you. This is going to be fun. 20-minute Shark Tank inspired education experience. So she and I will be doing a virtual session for my STEM reviewers from across the state. We'll have 10 minutes to pitch and compel with our story and 10 minutes to answer questions. So I'll be spending the weekend watching Shark Tank, trying to get the tips and stuff like that. So with that said, much love and respect to all of our teachers and bus drivers and paraprofessionals and so on. As things open up in the district, I've had the good fortune just to be around the district and in buildings and in classrooms. And I've said this a bunch of times and I can't stop saying it. I really wish the board and the world could see what I get to see on a daily basis. It is awe-inspiring and almost jaw-dropping to see what our staff does for our kids. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weber.
Yep.
And I'm sure that you and Ms. Polanski will be awesome on Shark Tank 10
Thanks.
minutes. We can't wait to see it.
We're gonna try. Thank you.
Next, we have opportunity for board communication. Does anyone have any specific communications for the community?
Just, I can't wait to see Dr. Weber keep his presentation down to 10 minutes.
Come on.
That gives Emily 0 then.
Don't worry, Emily will keep them in charge.
Mrs. Murphy?
Yeah, I paid a visit to Novi Woods this week on Tuesday, and really was amazed. I got to see some teachers teaching remotely. I got to experience a teacher doing a writing one-on-one with a student remotely, and then other teachers in classrooms and the end step, the kids were there, and David Asher, he's just so positive all the time, and that school is just really, the teachers were so happy, the ones that are there really seemed very, very happy to be there, and certainly the kids were very happy to be there. So it was a great visit. I know that we haven't been in this, I haven't been in the schools nearly as much this year. I don't think any of us have.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just great to be back in there, seeing all the learning and engagement going on amongst the students. It was really fantastic. And they all were talking about his announcements, I guess. He did a big Cinco, was planning a Cinco de Mayo announcement, but I guess Star Wars, because it was the 4th, the day I was there, may the 4th be with you. And the kids were coming up to him saying, I just love the Star Wars theme, and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, he's got a green screen in his office, and he does announcements every day, and they actually do it virtually, too, for the students that are at home. So keeping them kind of connected to everybody, so I think that's really great. I'm sure they're doing that at a lot of the schools where they're really making tremendous efforts to make sure the kids stay connected. So, but it was definitely nice to see that in person. And then one other thing I just want to mention, I don't know that we do this a lot, but there was a death, a guy that used to really help with athletic boosters, Dave Gulau, that passed away last Saturday. His funeral was today. He had 2 students at Novi High School, and he was really active as a booster for many, many years, and it was just a very sudden, unexpected event, and yeah, I just, you think about his family, and he just was super active as a parent with the boosters for many, many years, and yeah, I'll be.
Sad news. I hadn't heard that. That's too bad. I worked with him for a few years, yeah.
Yeah, great guy. Did a lot of work actually with the Cody School in Detroit.
That's
too.
right.
He ran their athletic booster program for 10 years, in addition to doing a lot with our schools. So he was a pretty amazing guy. So he will be missed.
Thank you, Mrs. Murphy, and thank you for letting the community know so that they can offer much love and support to that family. Any other comments or questions? Board comments? No? Oh my goodness, we have a quiet. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I was trying to find it, but I can't find it, but, I don't know if you guys looked through the virtual art shows. There was one in the high school, and I can't think of, I think it was a her, but she did which summed up like this year, like, to me, it summed it up perfectly. It had like where you hang your keys, you know, I don't know if anybody looked at this, but, you know, you hang your keys, you know, you say you got your keys, your sunglasses, whatever else, and there was a mask hanging. I mean, that's like just, and I mean, it was really good, but I mean, that just summed up the year, you know, it's like, not only now do you take your car keys and that, you have to grab your mask. So that was just, I thought that was just really neat. And very, very talented students we have.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mrs. Roney. Yeah, I don't have many comments either. There's lots of athletics going on around town, which is great. I was telling Mr. Mena that I was, you know, he's the track volunteer / spectator / go-to guy, but I haven't been to any track meets, but I did get the opportunity to watch our baseball, our varsity baseball. I'm not sure I'm such a big baseball fan, but I really enjoy watching them play. They're really, really talented, and it's so fun to just watch them and the energy of the parents. I think in any sport or fine arts or visual arts that everybody in the community is just extremely excited because we missed an entire year of it. So it just really adds to the not taking that for granted. So it's been nice to watch those things in the community. So, any other board comments? No? Okay. Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved. Support.
Recommended by Mrs. Murphy and supported by Mrs. Roney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Oh, well done.
All right, thanks. You too.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to
Thank
see you.
you.
Yeah.
You too. Have a
Got
good
it, Tim?
weekend.
Yeah.